Hello, good morning, my dear children. Welcome to the English online class. I am your English teacher. So, children, today in this video, I am going to explain the poem number 3, Lineage, which is written by Margaret Walker, the poet Margaret Walker. In the previous video, I hope you understood all the videos, all the lessons, and all the poems. Okay, children, and I hope you all have completed your classwork book. Idea about the poet, that is Margaret Walker. She was born on 7th of July 1915 in Brigham, Alabama, USA. She died on November 14, 1998 when she was 83 years old in Chicago, that is Illinois. Her occupation was she was a poet and a novelist, and she was a nationalist of an American country. She was notable works are For My People in the year 1942, Jubilee in the year 1966. 66. Spouse means her husband is Furnace Alexander and she was having 4 children. Now let us begin our lesson. Let us begin our poem number 3. That is lineage. Lineage means ancestors who are hereditary. That is who are very seniors in our family. So let us begin our pre-reading activity. First one. Have you ever felt weak? Means you felt very weak, that you have to write about it. Do you think your forefathers were stronger than you? Yes, I hope according to me our forefathers were very strong. The compare yourself to your grandfather or grandmother. List out of their some strength. Compare means how your grandfather are very active and how they work hard. Just compare these all things with your grandfather or your grandmother and list out the things and write down in your notebook. Okay, I'll give you just a small summary of the poem. The poem Lineage is written by Margaret Walker. In this poem, the poet describes her female ancestors. Female ancestors means Hireru mana Hirer ajji iruttala, that the poet describes about her grandmother, maybe her grandmother. The poet recognized that she leads a life very different from other female ancestors. She ponders over this change. The poem begins with the poet describing the strength of her grandmother. They used to work on plantation and farmland. They would work very hard tirelessly. They were very strong in both mind and body. In the second para, the poet said that her grandmothers were full of memories. They would smell of soup and onion. They were preserved and they suffered greatly. They still have many clean words to say. In the final lines, the poet asks why she is not as strong as they were. The poet wishes the youth to be like their grandmother. Here the poet describes about her grandmother, how strong her grandmother was. Just I'll read the poem once and I'll explain later. See children, in this poem you learn how old people are stronger than youth. Here the poet talks about her grandmother and and asks why she is not able to be like them. See children, I'll just read the poem. First stanza. My grandmothers were strong. They followed plows and bent to toil. They moved through fields sowing seeds. They touched earth and grain grew. They were full of sturdiness and singing. My grandmothers were strong. See children, second stanza. My grandmothers were full of memories, smelling of soap and onions and wet clay, with veins roughly over quick hands. They have many clean words to say. Why am not as they? This is written by the poet Margaret Walker. This is what the poet written. Now I'll explain it. So children, okay children, see the first stanza. See, I'll explain that one. See children, my grandmothers were strong. They followed plows, that is a large tool used by the farmers to turn over the soil before planting the crops, and bent to toil to work hard and long. They moved through fields sowing seeds. See children, here poet talks about her grandmothers. They were working in the agriculture field. They plowed. See children, on the screen I had shown you a lady. She is plowing the field. Bent to soil to work hard and long. Bent to soil means they bend and work in the field with very hard, and they moved through the field means They go through all the fields and sowing the seeds. Have you seen the seeds, field children? How your grandmothers working in the field? They are very strong. They work. They get up early in the morning and they go to the field and they sow the seeds in the. Next, they touched earth and grain grew. They were full of sturdiness and singing. My grandmothers were strong. See, children, what the poet says that their grandmother touched the earth and grain grew. They work in the field and they grew the crops. They were full of sturdiness, means they were having full of strength and energy. They are not lazy people. They are very hardworking and active, and they will always busy in working in the field and singing. Okay, and again he says that my grandmothers were very strong. That how they are strong means they work in the field, they grow the crops, and they are having full of strength. They are very active. Okay, with singing they work in the. Next, my grandmothers were full of memories, smelling of soaps and onion and wet clay. Here the poet is recalling the memories of the grandmother, because the poet spent a lot of time with the grandmother. Smelling of smooth and wet clay means poet grandmother is always working in the field, and they were growing the crops like onion in the field, and smell onion crops are grown in the wet soil. That time she used to smell like a onion and wet clay. With veins roughly over a quick hands. Quick means busy hand. They have many clean words to say, why I am not as they. We hear children with veins roughly means, see children, here the poet tells her grandmothers used to work very hard. They are very active in the field. Even she used to plow or the field, sowing the seeds, cutting the crops. So her hands are very rough, and she works very hard in the field without wasting her time. She'll be always busy in working in the field only, like cutting the crop, sowing the seed, planting the field, and putting some fertilizers to the field. In this way, she'll be busy in working in the field only. Veins means she'll be very active in doing the work. They have many clean words to say. Why I am not as they, means this means her grandmother is very means she's having very good words to talk. She'll talk to others. She used to never hurt others. She used to always wish others to be very good. Why I am not as they. Again, the poet compares herself to the grandmother. Means why I am not as strong as my grandmother. Why can't talk clean words here? Okay, children, here grandmother is old, and then also she's working very hard in the field without taking rest. See, children, you people compare to yourself to your mother. She is, your mother is more active than him. Then compare your mother to your grandmother. Then your grandmother is more active than your mother. In this way, the poet compared herself to her grandmother, that her grandmothers were very strong. They were always working in the field. Yes or no? Just see your grandmother. They work very hard in the home. They get up early in the morning, do all the housework things, and go to the field and work there. Yes or no? So here the poet says that we should be always be active. This poet tells us that we should be always active in your life, and we should always work very hard. We should not be very lazy. This is what Margaret Walker wants to tell us. Okay, here the poet tells us about the old people who are stronger than youth. Here the poet talks about her great grandmother's strength, and she is comparing herself to her grandmother because her grandmother is more active than her. This is what Margaret Walker says, that we should be always very active, and we should very work very hard in your life. When you work hard, then you will be very successful in your life. So children, this is the what poet Margaret Walker wants to tell, that her grandmothers were very strong. They work very hard. They plow the field. They bend to toil means they work very hard in the field. They sow the seed throughout the field, walking and hearing. They plant the water and everything. In this way, the poet compares herself to the grandmother, that the grandmothers were very active and they work very hard. Okay, children, I hope you understood the poem very well. In the next video, I'll catch you in telling the explanation of the question answers of the poem Lineage. Okay, once again, I'll tell you all to read the poem and read the poem very clearly. Okay, children, see you in my next video. Thank you and bye. Take care.